So here's everything you need to know about YouTube's new monetization policy and what they had to actually say when I reached out to them about it, and also how you can go about avoiding it to actually save your faceless YouTube channel. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to break everything down into the simplest form for everyone to be able to understand. Now, let me answer the big question. Yes, this particular policy right here is actually targeted towards faceless YouTube channels and AI related videos. That said, this doesn't cause for an alarm. It is not something you need to actually panic over or something you need to even worry about. Here's why. This right here is the policy YouTube recently released, and as of now that I'm recording this particular video, which is 15th July, the policy is actually in effect. Now, it reads, we are making minor updates to our repetitious content policy. So one thing you need to keep in mind is this: it is not a new policy they are bringing. It is actually just an update they are making to a policy that already existed. Let's be clear. It is an update they are making to a policy that has been there for a while now. It continues to read, to better clarify, this includes content that is repetitive or mass produced. This section right here is what actually got a lot of people panicking and really confused. Let me explain. That is repetitive or mass produced content. So I believe at this point we are all aware of these AI tools and what you can do with them, like AI videos as an example. Here's the thing. A few years ago, no. As a matter of fact, a few months ago, right, you can't actually make these kind of videos. Before you can get an AI video to upload onto YouTube, you need to pay a huge sum of money first. But now you can just get access to it like Google View 3 and a whole lot of free other ones out there. So due to the introduction of all these AI tools, right, YouTube themselves are updating their policy to catch up with the times, to catch up with what is actually going on. I believe you get what I'm trying to say. So this particular policy has already been there. That is the repetitious content policy. It has already been there, but due to the introduction of these AI tools and all these AI videos like these Bigfoot, African folktales and all those kind of stuff, a few years ago they were not there, but now they are there. So they need to update their policy to catch up with the times. So what do they actually mean by the repetitive or mass produced content they are saying right here? So just as I said, right, since you can get access to these AI tools for free to just make any video you want, people are actually spamming the YouTube platform with a whole lot of videos. And I mean, people are uploading about 50 to nearly 100 videos every single day. Does it even make sense? 100 videos every single day. So due to how fast they are producing these content, that is the mass production, they are not necessarily making any significant changes to each and every single content to make them stand out, to let them be their own content. What do I mean by that? So since they are uploading it consistently, they really don't have time to, make significant changes like changing the scripts, using an entirely different whole process altogether. What they do is the same video, then they basically just change the title and upload it as a new video. With the next video, they upload that same video, but this time around, they just change the background music of that particular video and upload it as a different video. And that same video, they upload it again, and this time around, they just make a few changes to the images they are using in there. So I believe you get what these repetitious content and all those kind of stuff actually means. People are actually abusing it. So YouTube is just updating their policy to be able to better identify these kind of videos. Now, one thing you should also know is YouTube says we are also renaming this policy from repetitious content to inauthentic content. Keep that in mind. So each time you hear me say inauthentic content, I mean repetitious content. So what I did was I actually went to ChatGPT, right, and I asked ChatGPT to better clarify the repetitious content and the mass produced content section. I literally just copied and pasted it right here, as you can see right here. Now, this was the reply ChatGPT actually gave to me for the repetitious content. It says, this refers to videos that are very similar to each other, often using identical scripts, visuals, or voiceovers across multiple uploads, either within the same channel or across many channels. Just as I explained earlier on, that is what ChatGPT is saying right here. Rather than making significant changes to every single video, like using an entirely different script altogether, they use literally the same script. Now, don't get confused when I say the same script, because when I say the same script, I basically mean you just copy and paste your first video, literally no changes. That is what I mean by that. Here are examples of videos that or contents that are okay. A tech reviewer gives unique thoughts on a different phone with varying visuals and commentary. A storytelling channel uses original voiceover, fresh scripts, and new characters for each episode. This actually reminds me of what I actually came across during my research for this video, and that is most people are saying you can't actually, or YouTube is not going to pay videos that have AI voiceovers added to it. More on that later. But at this very section here, right, what it basically means is using original voiceover. This section right here is what most people are confused about. They think you need to use your own voice. It is not necessarily you using your own voice all the time. Just use original voiceover. What does that mean? You can use an AI voice, or you can actually use your voice for the videos. Example, African folktale videos, right? We use voiceovers for it. We use AI voiceovers for it. But what they are trying to say is use original ones. What do they mean by original ones? It should be new every single time. Not the voice model you are using, but rather what that particular voice model is going to say should be new every single time for every video you upload. Regarding the repetitious content, right, here are some of the things that actually violate them, or perfect examples of repetitious content. A channel uploads 50 videos of the same story or song with minor changes to it, like the background music or the pictures you use as an example. So examples are changing background music or the title. Yet some go so far as to upload the same video but just change the titles. These are some of the things YouTube is actually going to pay close attention to, and that is what this new policy is actually going in for. If you actually doubt me, right, or to clarify what I'm saying, since this is a new policy, that is, most people think it's a new policy, why haven't you received any copyright strike lately, or any warning from YouTube saying your content actually violates any or some of their rules or something? You haven't received it. You are still on perfect track because you are doing the right thing. You are not repeating the content and any of those things. And yes, I agree, most of you might say, well, Steve, it is probably because they just roll this policy out. But just keep that in mind. I believe what I'm saying actually makes sense right here. If it doesn't, just leave your questions in the comment section. I'll try my possible best to actually reach out and answer most of them. Under the mass-produced content, right, this refers to factory-like content created quickly and in bulk, often by AI or with templates that offers little to no original value. It's now clearly considered a form of repetitious content. So this section right here is also one major thing people are basing on to actually get scared. Let me give you an example to make this explanation much more easier. Dozens of channels posting the same AI generated video. Example, like top 10 rich people. Everyone is making top 10 rich people with an AI related tool or something. So if you are making these kind of videos without adding your own personal edits to it or making significant changes to it, YouTube is not going to allow it. Another one that violates the policy is a faceless YouTube channel auto-generating hundreds of videos daily with similar structure, narrations, and stock clips, just changing the topic slightly. We've already explained this right here. So what I did was this. I went ahead, right, and actually asked ChatGPT this question again. Does this section means you have to use your own voice as voiceover or use AI voiceover, but for each voice he says something different? So I went on ahead and asked the question because when I was making the research, right, I really did not understand what it was trying to say, because many people were saying, well, Steve, YouTube is no longer going to monetize videos made with AI voices. So I had to actually ask this question right here, that do you have to always use your own voiceover, or that is record in a microphone like this for your African folktale video as an example, or for your faceless channel, or you have to use AI but for each video make a significant change to it? Now it went on ahead and gave me a whole lot of replies right here, but at the very end, right, this is what it said. YouTube doesn't care whose voice it is, you or AI, as long as the content is unique and valuable each time, and also you avoid mass production with repetition, just as I explained earlier on, and you add your own creative touch to it, you are good. So one thing you should also keep in mind is this. It says something right here at the very beginning. The voiceover doesn't sound robotic or mass generated. Using high quality AI like 11 Labs or similar will help. Now what this section actually means is you can use AI voiceovers, but it shouldn't sound extremely robotic, you know, something everyone is using all the time. It should be something that sounds close to human-like, and they are recommending you use voiceovers from 11 Labs as an example. But if you are a long-time subscriber of this YouTube channel, what I recommend if you can't afford 11 Labs is Clip Charms. It is free and it's also close to human-like voice, and the other one is Speechma. Now this is the response YouTube had to actually give because people were really freaking out about it. Now let's just get to the main point right here. We are not introducing a new policy. Just as I said, this is a minor update to our long-standing repetitious content, which is also now inauthentic content. We regularly update and evolve our policies based on the content on YouTube, just as I explained earlier on, due to all these AI tools and stuff that are being released and a new form of content that are being uploaded onto YouTube, like these Bigfoot videos and African folktales and all those kind of stuff. They need to evolve to adapt to it. That is what they are saying right here. And this update is to clarify that this policy includes content that are mass produced and repetitive, and you already know what mass produced content and repetitive content are. I just explained them. This content has always been ineligible for monetization. Just as I said, it is a long-standing policy that has already been there. Now let's scroll up to this section right here, which says, does this relate to reuse content? Basically, I'm not going to read this section, but what it is trying to say is when it comes to the reuse policies, right, everything just stays the same. It is the same thing. Nothing has changed. You can actually monetize reuse content if you make significant changes to it, add your own commentary, and add your own creative touch to it. Now this section right here is for us, the AI video users. Will using AI in my content be a violation of inauthentic content? And just as I said, each time you hear inauthentic content, just keep in mind they are saying repetitious content. Now it reads, we welcome creators using AI tools to enhance their storytelling, like as the African folktale users in a basic term, and channels that use AI in their content remains eligible for monetization. So you can actually monetize your AI based videos. So don't worry, all these things you are seeing online saying you're not going to get monetized, you are actually going to get monetized. All channels must follow our monetization policy. That is what they basically require you to do. Now this section right here is what actually confused a lot of people the most. And creators are required to disclose when their realistic content is altered or synthetic. This section, I will explain it further with an example to give you a general idea of what I'm referring to. But before we get to that section, right, let's just finish this section up. Can you give some examples of what is considered mass-produced content? A channel that uploads narrated story, like African folktale videos, with only superficial difference between them. Now when they say superficial difference, right, you shouldn't get confused. Basically what they are trying to say is what I explained earlier on. You upload African folktale videos, which is storytelling videos, but you don't make significant changes to every single one of them. You use the same voiceover, not the same voice model. You are going to use the same voice model, but that voice model keeps saying the same thing over and over again in all your videos, and all you do is just make slight changes to it. Those slight changes are what we refer to as superficial difference, like changing the title and uploading it as a new video, or changing the background music or something. Slight changes. Another example is a channel that uploads slideshows that all have the same narration. Now let's go to the section that I said I would show you, regarding the section which says creators are required to disclose when their realistic content is altered or synthetic. And I'm going to use an African folktale as an example because that is what I teach a lot on this YouTube channel. This is the back end when you are uploading your video. Now this YouTube channel here is just a dummy YouTube channel where I test most of the methods I show on this particular channel out right here. So if I should scroll up real quick, right, as you can see, this section is what they are referring to. That is altered content. Do any of the following describe your content? 1. Makes a real person appears to say or do something they did not say. Another one is alters footage of a real event or a play. So let's say something actually happened at a specific place, but you use your AI tools to actually change those things to suit your needs. Example, let's say award was given to 10 people at a specific occasion, but you took that particular footage and altered it and made it just one person received that particular award. That is what they are saying. If you're going to make changes to something that actually happened, go on ahead and select it right here. The next one is generates a realistic looking scene that did not actually occur. These are what they are referring to as altered or synthetic content. So this is where you are going to disclose it. Now let's move on to the reply YouTube gave to me when I reached out to them about the new policy which released or is now in effect. But before we get to that section, right, let me further address the section where people are saying YouTube is no longer going to pay AI voice based videos. Now, if YouTube is not going to pay AI voice based videos, right, I want you to actually come to a conclusion after this. I want you to take a look at this particular YouTube channel right here. As a matter of fact, it is not for this YouTube channel only. YouTube recently released a feature on YouTube, an AI feature which allows you to change the language of whatever video you are watching into your own language. Example, let's say I'm speaking English, right, and someone in a Spanish country actually wants to watch this particular video. They have to change it to their language. Check this out. This is how they are going to access it. If they click on settings right here and click on audio tracks, as you can see, you can change the language into these right here. So if that is the case, is YouTube trying to say, well, we are not going to pay people who are using AI to generate voice, but we are going to encourage them by introducing a new AI feature that literally does the same thing? I want you to come to your own conclusion after this illustration I have given you right here. Now let's move on to what YouTube actually said when I reached out to them. So this is a screenshot of what they said. I'll leave the original one on the screen somewhere. So I reached out to them, and obviously it is the customer support section that I reached out to, or someone in that section. So they actually informed me that yes, there are people there who are actually in charge of that section. So with her, things are going to be limited. So I asked her a few questions, and this one right here is what actually stood out to me, or what I want you to know. Now it reads, meaning AI generated contents are eligible for monetization as long as they are not mass produced or repetitive and follows the guideline. I asked her this question after asking her several questions. So this is just a follow-up, and here's what she said. That should be right. She said this because she said there are people aligned for that section, or people dedicated for it. So based on her knowledge, this should be all right. And based off of the explanation that I just gave on the policy they have released, that is the breakdown that I just made, as you can see right here, this actually confirms it perfectly. So in conclusion, even though this particular policy is targeted towards faceless channels and AI related videos, it is not something you should be extremely worried about, because you can actually monetize it. They are not demonetizing them. You can actually monetize it, but you need to make a few changes to align with the policies. So here's what you can actually do to secure your faceless YouTube channel or prevent yourself from falling into this particular policy right here. If it wasn't already obvious, the first thing you need to do is go to your channel, right, and check to see if the content is being mass produced. Do you upload about 50 videos every single day? Or even though you are not mass producing them, do you upload the same videos without making significant changes to them? If not, go on ahead and just delete those videos or unlist those videos, or trust me, the policy is going to actually be applied to you. So all you need to do is this. You can use AI generated voices for your voiceovers, but make sure each time they are saying something different. Example, if you pick a voice model A should talk about a different thing for your first video, and that same voice model A should talk about a different thing for your second video, or a different story for a second video. I believe you get it. And when finding the voice models, find one that is extremely human-like or something close to it. In a nutshell, right, there's a long list of things I can say based off of the explanation I just gave, but in a nutshell, the next point is make sure your content is authentic. Let me put it that way. What do I mean by that? Each content should just be unique, have its own structure, have its own form, have its own everything. It should just be unique. This is basically all what you need to do to avoid falling for this particular policy right here. It is not a magic trick or anything. It is just something really simple and just straightforward. So if I actually missed anything or you guys have any questions, go on ahead and leave them in the comment section. I'll try my possible best to reply to every single one of them, and if necessary, I'll make a video for those ones as well. So that is basically it for today. See you all in the next video. Peace.